You Don't Mess with the Zohan is the most honest superhero movie. Everyone thinks You Don't Mess with the Zohan is terrible because of its offensive content, political simplicity, and juvenile humor. They're right, but what they're missing is that Zohan is worthwhile precisely because of its faults, as it exposes the societal rot inherent in the superhero genre.
You faker!
Firstly, reviewers point to the film's offensive content as a main criticism. More specifically, they point to the misogynistic portrayals of women, racial stereotyping, and, of course, Rob Schneider in blackface. To respond to that, I agree with the reviewers' criticisms here. The majority of this material is fundamentally inexcusable, yet it's noteworthy as it exposes the absurdly nationalist and Ubermensch-esque myth-making which dominates superhero movies. Regarding the nationalism point, the key to understanding this movie is realizing that Zohan, the indestructible Israeli super soldier, is a parody of Captain America. This intent is so blatant, in fact, that Sandler may as well have named his character Captain Israeli. On that note, just as Captain America serves as a propagandist for American imperialism, so does Zohan for Zionism. Thus, this is why Sandler and company feel so comfortable with, for example, Rob Schneider playing a Palestinian. They go to their own absolute extremes, exploiting Israel's historical bigotry in order to expose the latent xenophobia plaguing American superhero media. Regarding the Ubermensch point, You Don't Mess with the Zohan cleverly subverts the genre's underlying hero worship fantasies. To be clear, the superhero genre thrives off of instilling a feeling of impotence in the audience. They assert that in order to fix your problems, you need a big, strong man from outer space. However, You Don't Mess with the Zohan confronts this issue head-on. It finds its solution by depicting Zohan and his treatment of women like cattle and abuse of cats for fun as profoundly unlikable. Thus, herein lies the reason for much of this offensive content. It's in the service of deconstructing the concept of the superhero. The movie tells the audience in no uncertain terms that Zohan is not a character that should be looked up to. Instead, it redirects the audience's attention from what Zohan represents to what he actually does, finding fulfillment in his own life. Notably, this distinguishes You Don't Mess with the Zohan from the vast majority of superhero movies. As opposed to offering a fantasy to lose themselves in, the movie encourages the audience to build their own fantasy life for themselves.
Come on, you guys get along here. Stop this.
Secondly, reviewers cite the film's political simplicity as a main criticism. They complain that, although Sandler and company attempt a satire, they fail due to their superficial understanding of geopolitical issues. Moreover, critics cringe at You Don't Mess with the Zohan's trivialization of the Israel and Palestine conflict, as it feels exploitative. To respond to that, I agree with the reviewers' criticisms here. Zohan falls completely flat as a political satire. Yet, when viewed as a superhero satire, its political simplicity fits perfectly. To elaborate on that, You Don't Mess with the Zohan's failure to properly address political issues is reflective of the genre. Generally, superhero movies steamroll complex socio-political issues into easily digestible stories of good versus evil. At its core, the genre is inherently politically simplistic. When taken in this sense, Zohan's total flattening of the Israel and Palestine issue, arguably the most historically complex conflict, reads as a distinctly satirical comment on the genre at large. Building off of that, since they seek the largest audience possible, superhero movies often stand behind absolutely no political stance whatsoever. And when the rare superhero movie seemingly attempts to do so, it's hidden under so many layers of irony and inscrutability that it's impossible to determine definite intent. With that said, this is what makes You Don't Mess with the Zohan ultimately admirable. It actually dares to say something. At the end of the movie, the message of the film, reflecting a liberal Zionist perspective, is that Israel and Palestine should cease their warfare. Now, for the purposes of this video, I have no interest in parsing the nuances of said message itself. I simply mean to exclaim how remarkably ballsy it is for a superhero movie to make a political statement, especially on a topic as loaded as this one. Crucially, Zohan reveals that, if they wanted to, superhero movies could easily take political stands. However, the honest truth is that these production companies believe in nothing beyond consumption and conformity.
Alright, that's it for me, I'm done.
Thirdly, reviewers single out the movie's juvenile humor as a main criticism. They claim that its toilet humor, gross-out gags, and broad approach simply aren't funny. Thus, as a comedy, critics denounce the movie as a total failure. To respond to that, I agree with the reviewers' criticisms here. However, its unfunniness is what makes Zohan such a useful academic resource. It acts as an objective space for analyzing the insidious brainwashing fueling the superhero facade. To explain what I mean, I'll briefly explain Adorno and Horkheimer's seminal work on the culture industry. In their paper, they highlight how the mass media depicts characters being ruthlessly hurt, with the audience expected to enjoy and laugh at their misery. Adorno and Horkheimer posit that this is meant as a purposeful conditioning, as it teaches the everyday person how to acquiesce to their own lashings in real life. With this in mind, the entire superhero genre manifests as a product of this culture industry. Think about it this way: just as Spider-Man takes his beatings, so should you as the submissive worker be. By not being traditionally funny or entertaining, Zohan avoids categorization as part of this culture industry. The movie restricts viewers from losing themselves in passive fantasy, which encourages them to exercise their mental faculties instead. Thus, whereas superhero fare generally cowers under the veneer of middlebrow prestige, Zohan rips the facade off entirely. It has the courage to render the lowbrow juvenilia for what it is: repulsive and seriously unfunny. Due to this, Zohan deserves credit as a sort of anti-infantilization, anti-capitalist rallying cry. When taken all together, in Zohan, the viewer sees the superhero formula for what it really is: a lifeless, consumable product designed to enforce conformity. Thus, as is reflected in the story, viewers are encouraged to reject superhero fantasies and focus on their own goals.
I only wish to learn. I will do whatever it takes.
All things considered, You Don't Mess with the Zohan is notable for how it exposes, deconstructs, and parodies the superhero genre. Honest about their faults, Zohan boldly proclaims that, as opposed to idolizing superheroes, viewers should take charge of their own lives instead. If there's any other misunderstood or controversial movies, like You Don't Mess with the Zohan, that you'd want to see an analysis of, then please comment down below. Anyways, I'll see you guys out on the court for some cat hacky sack.